And knowing is half the battle. That was a good one. I felt really good about that one. Hi, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Steve, and this is 60 Cycle Hum, the guitar, buying, selling, trading, modding, fixing, breaking, reviewing, playing.
Podcast.
Hey, Ryan.
Hey, Steve.
How does playing in a church band work?
Oh, man. It doesn't work at all, Steve.
Do you have band practice?
No.
Is there any, quote, church standard songs most players know?
Yeah.
How do you
Oceans.
How do you choose which pedals you're going to use?
Random order.
Coin flips. It seems like
Whatever's new.
It seems like you mix it up every week, so I'm assuming you kind of just show up and make ambient noise and hope it sounds okay.
That's not too far off.
Right, this first ad was sent by
that was a short topic.
Darren Schmize.
Are we really doing the ad, or you don't want to talk about it all?
We'll
Okay,
talk about it.
You're faking everyone out. We've been getting a fresh batch of questions about church music because I've been posting little short videos and like TikTok videos of like, oh, here's my church rig this Sunday, and people are like, wait, you play at church? How does that work? And like we've been talking about this for years on this podcast. It shouldn't be news to anyone, but yeah, we play at church. At different churches. Steve and I used to play at the same church, but now we're at different churches.
Rival churches.
Fighting churches.
Yeah.
We meet in the parking lot and fight with knives after church.
We're always battling for a sound space.
No, it's
whoever has the nicest pedal board usually wins.
I think it's kind of a funny question because we can only talk about what happens in our churches. It varies so much from church to church. Like style of church to budget of church to size of church. Like it all changes. Like my church isn't big enough that we really feel motivated to practice. There's certainly not enough people that realistically only the worship leader is getting paid. They're the only person on staff.
Is your church still mobile?
Yeah, we're meeting in a public park right now.
Yeah,
they could.
But I mean, like even when like you don't have a building, you meet at like a middle school.
Usually, we meet in a middle school.
Yeah,
and we're actually staying in the public park because it'll save us money for the next couple of months.
If it works, it works.
Right.
We were supposed to do our first service in June in a public park, but apparently we didn't get the permit secured in time to do it.
Well, I think we've got a funny thing going on where it's like a community park. It's not a city park.
Oh.
So it's like we had to do is go ask the housing development. We didn't have to go through the city or anything like that.
Right. And
that's what made it possible. What we've been dealing with recently is that a Sunday morning softball thing has been happening. At the park, and there's not enough parking for everyone. But of course, we get there at like 7 a.m. and the softball people get there at like 8:30.
What park is it?
It's way out in like Scripps Poway sort of area. It's in like a housing area, kind of almost. It's at that turn right before you go to like the Costco area.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it's back there. Geography podcast. Oh, I forgot. I have these LED lights back here now. I wanted to take them off of the fade. There we go. Every time I see the green pop up on the camera, I'm like, that looks bad. I don't want to do that anymore. So anyways, yeah, every church does it different. Like some churches have budgets and the whole band is on staff because they need to be at church multiple times during the week and have professional practices, and they might even record albums with each other and stuff like that. That's like at big churches.
Yeah.
But the vast majority of churches are small. Mm-hmm. The vast majority of churches in America, the world, are small, and the large part of the people playing music there, if they have anyone playing music, are volunteers who are there because they like doing it and they want to do it. And Steve and I fall into that group.
And I would say, people throw this out a lot. There's this misconception. Certainly it happens some places.
Oh, sure.
But there's I think a broad misconception that church people have nice gear because it gets paid for.
No. Like, I see that a lot too. Like, it's because their church buys them all these Strymons and stuff. Nope. That's not how it works.
Aside from, you kind of like you mentioned earlier, the only times I've been,
there are instruments that churches will typically buy.
Yeah.
Pianos.
Yeah.
Drum kits, things like that, the PA and all that sort of stuff. They buy that stuff because it's got to stay set up on the stage stationary. And drummers, when they come in, they still bring their snare or their cymbals if they want to and stuff. But it's very, very rare for a church to buy guitar gear for the band.
Yeah.
Unless it's like isolation cabinets or something like that.
Or, I'll say, so my current church, they bought a bass.
Right.
Because when I'm there, I usually bring my own gear, but actually it comes in handy when because we actually do have semi-regular practices that I try to make it to, but sometimes I don't. And I don't want to take my gear to work and have it sit in my car for, 8 hours. So I just grab my little backpack that has a couple effects in it and I play the church bass.
Right.
And it's not like a fancy bass. It's a Mexican deluxe. No, it's not a Mexican deluxe. It's just a Mexican precision special. So it's
right.
At the time, it's probably like a $350 bass. And it's the church's. It's not mine.
And that bass is eventually going to be ravaged by the youth group.
But I would say, aside from the like 2 or 3 or I forget how many years that I worked for a church, like was on a payroll for a church. Aside from that, I think I've maybe been in, as an adult, almost 20 years of doing church music in various capacities, aside from, again, like the 3 years or 4 years that I was on staff at a church. I've maybe been paid 3 times. The amount of gear I've had where someone's like, hey, you want to, we're buying guitars for the church, or we're buying, I don't know, stuff. You want something? Like, I don't think I've ever even had I think maybe one time I got like a Guitar Center gift card as a Christmas appreciation.
No, gear being bought for me has never been a concept I've been aware of in all my years and years and years and years of playing in church. Of all the people that I know who have played in church, like for decades, like it's not something that happens regularly.
Right. I'm not saying it never happens. What I'm saying is when it does happen, it's probably there. I think
when it does happen, like
they're buying it for someone on staff who just turns into a tax write-off because they're buying capital equipment.
I think when that normally happens in most churches, it's like a gift thing. Like, hey, we wanted to do something nice for this person that has been a big part of the community, and everyone throws money in a hat and they go buy them a baby Taylor or something like that, for, the women's group pastor or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, it's I see the comments online on Reddit and on forums and stuff like that of people who make those assumptions, and it's totally not what's going on the vast majority of times. Also, like, mainly, I think, like, imagine a church does pay to have a pedal board put together. And I'm sure it has happened. Like, we're going to have the church, the church is going to fund a professional worship pedal board, and it's going to be the property of the church, and you get to use it when you come play. It doesn't make any sense, because if you're a musician coming in and out and playing the gear that the church is providing, and they're just providing you with a pedal board, you don't know any of those pedals.
Right.
Those aren't your pedals. You don't have experience with them to know how to operate a Strymon timeline that's been MIDI programmed or something. You don't know what it's going to do.
I think my church technically owns a Helix LT that basically they said whoever is the main guitarist can take it home and figure it out. And I was like, I already have pedals. Just give me like a DI.
Right.
Actually, I own a DI too. I have a Palmer Pocket Amp.
What are some other points to tackle?
So about saying, is there any church standard songs most players know? I don't know how your sets are. We normally do 4-song sets.
Yeah.
And I can say for the last, I don't know, 6 months, 8 months, something like that, I've basically been working off of maybe at the most a 12 or 15 song set list.
Yeah.
So there are songs that like I play a lot. It's in some ways it's kind of like being in, I don't know. It's like you just have a regular set list that you work off of, or you have a regular rotation of songs. And I have played places where, or I have worked with teams where I actually went through and tracked how many songs we did over the course of a year, and it was like 200 songs. And it was miserable.
Oh, totally.
Like, you might have like 1 or 2 songs that become like a theme for a couple months, and you're doing 5 songs, so those 2 songs get repeated like every other week for 2 months, and the other 3 songs you're doing over that span is a different song.
I'd say it's really typical for a church band to have a core group of like 15 songs, like you mentioned, that get stretched out because you only play 3 or 4 songs a week. They get stretched out and reorganized and jumbled around for the entire year until you fade into new songs.
Yeah.
But there is a back catalog of hundreds of Christian church songs that get thrown in at random times. And it's like, I've never heard of that. Is that new? It's not new. It's 75 years old.
Yeah.
I've never heard of this.
I definitely struggle. I've never been like a music memorizer person.
No, not in no way am I.
So I've always struggled unless it's like, how great is our God?
Right.
Which is like just G, D, E minor, C. I've always struggled with, worship leaders who will do a song and then they're like, they just bleed into some like old hymn, and our piano player will always like know it.
Yeah.
Our piano player is like down a clown, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna close my eyes right now, and I'm gonna roll my volume off and just hang in the moment.
I miss hymns.
Just chill.
The church that I'm at now doesn't do the hymn thing, and they don't bring them in as a medley, like as a modern way. I wish they would do that. And the church you're at, which used to be my church, used to do that a lot, and I miss that.
We'll do.
Like, here we go. We're in some modern song, and now, how great thou art.
Yeah, but I don't know how to play it.
I'd say
I feel like, so I will say, as a bass player, and having done both a lot, but being mostly a bass player in church for at least the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, I guess. It's a lot easier to hang on those random song drops as a guitar player. Because as a bass player, I guess I can like just hang on the root. But if I don't know where the song is going, I can't do anything. I'm kind of just like,
you have to know the chord progression to make it work.
G. Oh crap! Is this a 4 or a 5?
And oh my gosh,
crap! But for guitar, it's like, G, do, 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 do. I'm just gonna sweet pick through this hymn.
No, I'm just gonna swell into stacked delays and reverbs. And
I'm gonna make a sound.
Yeah, I'm gonna make a sound effect here.
It's in key.
And you're like, maybe this isn't difficult for you, but they're simple. The vast majority of church music is simple because it has to be easily played by people of all different skill levels in all different sizes of church. But I know a lot of church song chord progressions do like here's a C with a B bass note over it. And it's like if you don't know that as a bassist, like you're flying into a song blind and you don't know that there's that C with a B or whatever, like, does that throw you off? Like, what are they playing there?
It depends on where it is and how it's being used. I mean, I usually work off of, I'm usually working off of some kind of chart. I do the thing. So one of the big criticisms, I don't really want to talk about that.
All right.
Well, no. Okay. So I'll say I use this iPad, and I just set it out and it has my charts on it. and I will just kind of glance down and go through it. And usually I'm familiar enough with the songs that like I kind of am like I will look down at the beginning of the verse or of the chorus and be like, all right, this song. But those kinds of like the slash chords, I mean, you can. I don't want to say you can or should ignore them, but if you
No, I ignore them.
You should ignore them.
Yeah, I do.
Right. But as the bass, it adds a
You have to
flavor
choose.
to it.
You have to choose, or you can do the over or the under.
If you're playing bass, you should always do the slash. You should always do, which unfortunately, the problem that I have is you don't have a bass. So, is there are songs that, where, screw it, let me grab something.
Oh my gosh.
I have to think about this.
Grab the baritone.
Well, I was going to grab this.
The baritone's right there.
No, I don't want to grab it.
All right, don't grab the baritone then. I don't know. I actually have 3 baritones in the room right now. I need to sell at least one of them.
I just made a bunch of crunchy noises. So there will be songs. I'm hoping this isn't in close enough. That will be like, it's an A, and then it changes to a D, and then it goes back to an A, right? Something simple like that. But the bass will just be
right,
and the slash will have you stay on the A, and those are the ones where I'm just like, cool. I understand how this serves like the foundation of the song, but like, can I just throw in a?
No, Steve, it is forbidden.
I have had. It depends on how musically in tune your worship leader is and how sophisticated. I would say sophisticated. I think that's fair. Like how much they really understand and rely on. Like
I'd say how cool
the
they
harmonic structure of the song, where they go, no, you need it. I need that. I need you to stay on the A there. I'm like, but it's boring. Even especially like something like that, because it's like if I'm going up to the D, then I can go. Well, don't bend that much.
Right. For me, like the most exciting thing that can happen on a Sunday morning with a set list at church is you get that rare song that's in a minor scale. Oh my gosh, it's so rare because like 98% of church songs are just major scale, might as well be the same chord progression as all the other songs.
The last time I think I played a song with you that had a minor scale, it turned out that song was just Zombie by the Cranberries.
Oh yeah, I drop the Cranberries riff anytime I get that minor scale. In an E minor based worship song, I'm going to drop some Cranberries in that.
Yeah. So as far as picking pedals go,
does your current worship leader favor like 1 or 2 keys?
If he does, I haven't really.
Like we are always in B flat.
Oh God.
Like always.
Your worship leader needs Jesus.
Jesus.
That too.
Jesus bended.
No, I mean, I can tell you that the next set that I have is,
and I get it. You got to sing in your vocal range. We have
a song in G, 2 songs in A, and another song in G, and then the next time I play it, we've got 3 songs in A and 1 song in G.
Yeah, it sounds like you have a theme going.
So I think we go a lot of G's and A's, and then the related 4ths and 5ths. So kind of we'll do G and A and then D a lot. But I think that what drives that more is we kind of have 2 lead vocals. So it's like you said, vocal range. It kind of depends on who's leading the song. And then one of our vocalists, our vocal and piano, she actually has like a really broad range, but she has a background in like, she has an education in church music.
Oh, okay.
Or like vocal performance. And so she intentionally is picking keys that are considered like safe congregational keys. So
I thought you were going to say she was going to go somewhere spicy with it, but that makes sense.
Yeah. So, I mean, there is a whole thing where some artists, Phil Wickham is actually two of the biggest ones. So Phil Wickham and Chris Tomlin have both been kind of accused of having vocal ranges that aren't normal.
Okay.
For congregational singing, that they're just both, because they're both tenor males.
Right.
And so their ranges are on like the high side for most like men, and just also on in the wrong keys for most women.
I mean, I
don't know if that's true because I can't sing.
Like imagine if Sting wrote worship songs.
Right.
Like we'd all be screwed. No one can sing that way.
I can only imagine that, right?
Oh my gosh, I would pay money to hear Sting cover I Could Only Imagine. That would actually be really fun. Maybe there's a Sting impersonator out there that can make that happen. Like it would be really fun to hear like certain like very popular worship songs done like straight faced by popular artists, like popular vocalists that you would never expect to do like a worship song.
Right. Yeah. Like Justin Bieber.
Oh, just like the Biebs. We got a believer over here. Stone cold believer. He's got Biebs in his heart.
Yeah, I saw that face and now I'm a believer. Going back to the pedals thing though.
Yeah. Let's talk about the gear.
Obviously, there's a lot of things out there, and I think you mentioned this earlier. Maybe this was before we started recording. You kind of mentioned that you tend to want to try out, what's new.
Right.
But I feel like for me, like I can always try out what's new, but I'm not like gonna, show up with 5 overdrives.
You're not? I am.
You know what? But
that's how you make fuzz, Steve. It's by stacking overdrives until there's no signal left.
Just get a fuzz pedal.
Shh. Don't say that. The thing I want to say is it's very easy to make fun of church worship boards, and be like, look at all this expensive stuff that they have, blah, 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 and this and that. Oh, the church must be buying it for them, and that's money that should have been used on starving people and stuff like that. And there, all these are valid criticisms when there's criticism due. But I will say the reason why these church musicians have these extensively fancy boards
is because they can.
It's the same reason someone who fishes for bass has some sort of fancy tricked out bass boat that's all glittery and like all these fish finders and thousands of dollars in hooks and lures and stuff like that to catch a fish you can buy at the grocery store for $6.
Right.
It's not about needing any of it.
Yeah.
It's about liking it and having fun and having a reason to use it. Like, I think the fun thing about playing at church, and the reason that I do it, is I get to go play with live musicians.
Yeah.
Every week. And it's fun, and it's people that I like playing with. And it gives me excuse to try out gear that I'm curious about in a really not critical at all environment. Mm-hmm. And so people who are already in church and play guitar and do gear as the hobby, they're into the hobby side of gear. They have a reason. They have an excuse. They're fishing for that $5 bass. But they've bought a $20,000 bass boat, and it's like, oh man, I really need a dotted eighth delay and I need a quarter note delay on this other song. I might as well buy a timeline and a MIDI controller and, these expression pedals and some tap tempos and stuff like that to chase, sounds that they need for 2 songs because that's their hobby. Yep. And on the money side of it, the vast majority of time, they're using their own money because it's their hobby. They're just doing it at church. And guess what? The thing that we show all the time on this show and talk about on the show with the resale market, you buy stuff, you can sell it these days for almost what you paid.
Yeah.
Especially if you bought used.
There's a few different angles on that. And the other side about that is, I would say is, people, the big popular one is like the Strymon timeline. How long ago did that come out?
Oh, forever ago.
That pedal came out so long ago, and it's still a mainstay on like a ton of boards. Now, there's certainly people who are always going to chase that thing. They would be chasing something else, right? If they were a car person, they would be, forever chasing their car, like getting a new set of rims or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what car people do. Apparently, my left brake light is out.
Also, church people, they don't party. They don't go out and throw their paycheck away at bars and stuff like that. Putting together a pedal board is their party,
right? I mean,
let them have their fun.
There is definitely something to that as well. But I was just saying, like, okay, Strymon, you bought a time, so you bought a timeline. It's $500, right? It's $500. But now you've got the delay. And if you are, and maybe you got a timeline and a big Sky. You've spent $1,000 on these two pedals. It's a big investment. I'm not saying it's not a big investment, but it's like buying a top of the line computer. I mean, you want to talk about people that feel like throwaway money? What's up, gamers? You just bought a keyboard that goes click, 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 click. You know what? I had that in 1996. Actually, I really like this keyboard. But like, it's just a thing that I don't get. Not everyone has to get it. It's fine.
I saw someone comment one time. They're like, oh my gosh, guitars are like the most expensive hobby. And that person got like dogpiled in the comment section. It's like, are you aware of photography?
Oh,
are you aware of boats? Are you aware of people that do cars as a hobby? Their guns as a hobby can be very expensive. Every single hobby you can get into can become very expensive if you are inclined. If you want to spend the money, there's someone out there that will sell something to you for way more money than you need to pay. Because that's how hobbies work.
I have not shopped this in a long time. That's by top seller. I don't want to know top seller. I want to know high price. The highest price driver.
Oh,
this
golf
is
stuff?
One club. The Titleist TSI 3 Premium. $750 for one club. You need like 10 of these things.
Right. It's a lot like pedal boards.
now I know like that is a driver, so I don't know what other. I'm just kind of cruising this site trying to see what other prices.
You got to get the little ball in the hole, though, Steve.
I know. No, I mean, like I know about golf. I know golf.
Like, I guarantee you, if there's enough like fandom for a hobby, there's someone out there selling something for that hobby that costs thousands of dollars, like skipping rocks.
Yeah.
I bet you anything there's someone out there making a professional skipping rock that you can only throw once and it sinks to the bottom of a river or a lake and it costs $1,000 or something stupid like that. Every hobby becomes a breeding place for businesses that make products of various different price points.
So this set is a 4-iron, a 5-iron, 6, 7, 8, 9 iron, and a pitching wedge. Pitching wedge? Is that the word? I don't know why I'm asking you. You don't know.
No, I don't.
It's the PW, pitching wedge. So that's 3, 6, 7 clubs. Again, this is the highest priced one they sell. For this set is, where did that price go? It disappeared. $2,500 for 7 clubs. So you're basically paying like $350 a club.
Right.
That's like you said, that's like a pedal. That's a pedal board.
That's a full pedal board.
And that's
of nice pedals.
And that's just irons. You haven't bought like I talked about that driver earlier, potentially $750. Like,
you know what?
Now, is there a performance difference? As a coming at it from like an athlete loosely as a sports enthusiast perspective, like gear, like that kind of gear matters. But if you're not a pro and you're buying this stuff, it's the same thing. It's like, well, do you need like a Fender American Stratocaster, whether you're playing at church or you're playing in your bedroom or whatever? Do you need that stuff? No, you can just buy a Squire. Nobody cares what you sound like.
No,
but
I could.
You know who cares? You care.
You care.
You know, and actually, this was a big point that
you're the one having fun with it, so you care. I could do everything that I do just fine. I could survive at church, even playing bar gigs and stuff like that, with a Boss Katana 50, a guitar cable, and a $200 guitar. That's a $450 rig, and I could survive for the rest of my life playing gigs with that rig.
Philippe from Caroline Guitar made this point recently. You know, whether it's in church groups, they always say, well, the congregation can't tell the difference. You know, you go to, if you're playing bar shows, like, oh, the guy who's had 9 Bud Lights can't tell the difference.
Right.
If he's had 9 Bud Lights, he's not that drunk, guys. He's probably going to drive home, and if he gets pulled over, he's going to pass a sobriety test.
Oh my gosh, shut up. I'm not going to have to put a disclaimer on the screen. Don't drink and drive, even if it's Bud Lights.
So anyway, the point isn't whether or not anyone else can hear it, because there's so many factors in that. It's just like, do you feel good about what you're using? Do you feel good about the gear that you have?
Does it do something for you?
Does it do something for you? Are you having fun with it?
Are you having fun?
And I think...
Are you having fun?
I think, you know, people, we have a lot of, you have a lot of fans. We have a lot of, do I get to have some of those fans? I don't know.
You have fans, Steve. Hey, Steve fans out there, I want to see you in the comments section. If it's crickets, that's going to be embarrassing.
I know. For the Affordaboard series, who are chasing Affordapedals, and it's like, yo, man, how many like $20 distortions are you going to buy? But when they find that one, they're like, that's cool.
Right.
Like,
and they feel like they cheated the system, even though they just spent $400 tracking down one affordable pedal board.
I don't even think they necessarily feel like they're cheating the system. I think like they enjoy the chase.
Oh, totally.
Like, and that's part of it.
Oh, totally. It's, you know.
I want to tie this in. Sal Pedroza asked this question. If you only had 3 pedals, what would they be? So multi-effects out.
Right.
If you, as a guitar player...
for church,
you only could do 3 pedals. I would even say 3 effects types if you don't want to pick specific pedals. What would be the 3 things that you feel like you need?
Overdrive, delay, and reverb.
Yep, that is.
That's it.
Do you have 3 in mind that you think you would default to, or?
I've really been enjoying the Wampler Bell, which is a Noble style pedal.
Yeah,
I've really been enjoying that legitimately. So that or something like that, honestly, just like probably like an EHX Canyon for the delay, because it gives you a bunch of options and a tap tempo. Is that a multi effect? It's a multi delay, but whatever.
But it's just I didn't want you to be like HX Stomp, baby.
No, it's just because I would go between a digital setting and an analog setting,
right? And
I want to have tap. I want to have tap tempo, yeah. And then the reverb.
Do you remember when we first met and you didn't know how to use tap tempo?
I still don't.
That's fair.
I
need it, but I don't know how to use it.
The reverb, I mean, probably just an RV6 or something like that. Like this whole thing could be a Boss board, really.
Right.
Like I need something to do pad sounds with every now and then, you know?
No tuner. Tuners are for losers.
You think I need to be in tune? That's natural chorus, baby. You stack enough delay and reverb, any bad note just becomes part of the chorus swell. Man. That's the secret, boys and girls. If you got enough delay and reverb, bad notes just become a chorus effect.
Yeah. No, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Welcome to Church Music 101.
My 3, I would say, well, and that's the question. Like, I guess it would be how swell do I want to be?
It is swell with my soul.
It is swell with my soul. That's a Fox Cairo thing. Mm-hmm. But I would probably say the Timmy for my overdrive. My delay would be this bad boy right here, the Caroline Megabyte. Actually, yeah, probably the Megabyte. Want that tap tempo. And then reverb would kind of depend. If I need to freak out, I would probably go with the Meteore from Caroline. But if I just need to like chill, not the low, but the L from Big Ear Pedals.
That was a good choice.
That would be the reverb I take. It'd be like if I'm looking at the set list, I'm like, there's a song I need to go nuts on. I'm taking the Meteore.
We're gonna do this whole episode on church music. I kind of don't mind it. I'm kind of just having fun.
I think that kind of. I mean, I think
just
that
exploring the space.
Maybe. But I was thinking about those like the 3 core effects because. He says like it seems like you mix it up every week, but at the end of the day, like I know when
if you actually look at my board, I swap stuff out all the time.
But it's the same like 5 effects in the same order. It's just different.
It's a row of dirt into a volume pedal into mostly time-based effects, maybe a modulation, and then an amp and cab sim. Yep. and then I do have a tuner, and right now I have a wah on my board, but I don't typically go crazy with. I have a lot of redundancy because I'm testing stuff out and I'm trying stuff.
Yeah,
and I'd probably be doing that even if I didn't do demos as a business because it's like we said earlier, it's an opportunity to have fun and explore the hobby and explore gear and chase tones. And if I've got 3 overdrives on my board, then I can discover while playing live which one I actually like using live and how I like using it live. And it seems counterproductive. It seems stupid. Mm-hmm. But when you think of it in terms of a hobby versus a performance, it makes sense.
Right. It's like I said, people can have hobbies. I have other hobbies. Do you have any other hobbies?
Yeah, of course. You can't think of any?
Surfing?
I surf. I love cooking.
I don't think of cooking as a hobby, but I guess it is. And there are probably people who like every year they're buying, maybe not, they're searching for that cast iron.
Oh,
one cast
cooking
iron.
is a huge hobby.
How many people have bought Traegers in the last 2 or 3 years because they want to get into that stuff? Yeah.
I'm not into pellets.
I don't even know what that means.
Traegers use wood pellets
versus like charcoal briquettes.
Right.
Versus like what's the difference?
This guy doesn't even know like the basics of this hobby.
What's the difference between a wood pellet and then like just buying like hickory boards?
The wood pellet, it has a mechanical feeder on the side and you set the rate that it feeds and burns.
What?
Yeah.
That's a thing?
That's a thing. Steve has no idea.
Dude, I cook my steaks in a pan. We've talked about this before. We got a bunch of comments about how apparently my cooking method, even though it's the same one flipping Gordon Ramsay uses, is a crime against humanity.
I have hobbies, man.
I know.
I like gardening. We do gardening stuff around
is a good
house,
hobby. I think succulents are slowly becoming a hobby for me. Actually, they've been a hobby for a while. I just don't buy them.
I think succulents are an evil plant forces taking over the planet slowly. It's an Audrey 2 situation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Movies is a hobby for me. I love the cinema.
You like what? Oh, dude, there are legit people who
Star Trek is a hobby.
Who probably spend thousands of dollars going to movies every year.
Totally.
You know, the $15 whatever movie ticket and a bowl of $20 popcorn.
I mean,
soda,
even
candy
outside
combo.
of just consuming the movie, think about all the people out there with a room full of Funkos.
Oh yeah,
There's
Pop.
There's collectability stuff around movies. There's merchandising around movies and stuff like that. You'd think like that's what I'm saying around hobby stuff.
Yeah,
you'd think like, oh, watching the movie is the only thing you need to do. But an industry grows out of people liking to watch movies and finds products to sell to movie watchers that they don't need to experience the hobby on a deeper level so that they can live the hobby all day long. How much freaking Star Wars stuff is out there so people can literally live in a Star Wars lifestyle every moment of their day.
Hey, Ryan. Here's $5. Go watch yourself a Star Wars.
Let's try to do an ad or something.
Yeah. This first ad was sent by
40 freaking minutes into this episode.
Actually, it's only 39 minutes and 15 seconds into this episode.
Well, actually,
this first ad was sent by Darren Schmaze.
what are we doing? Star Wars rules now? Now we're on the first episode, 40 minutes in.
This was posted in the Fender and Gibson Guitar Trade Center UK Buy Sell Trade. The PRS Silver Sky is an all-time classic in guitar design. It's as if Paul got things perfect with this design, so they left it pretty much unchanged for many years. It's also the signature guitar for worldwide AOR pop rock superstar. Is that adult? What's
I don't know.
AOR? Pop rock superstar and Grateful Dead legend John Mayer. Well, now Fender have gone and ripped off this classic design and called it the Stratocaster, whatever the hell that means. It's literally a Silver Sky, but not as wanky. And it has 6-a-side headstock, which everyone who has ever played a Gibson knows is a superior design. If you're searching for that mundane nasal John Mayer tone on a budget, you need one of these, quote, Strats. It's basically a Silver Sky if you had made it yourself in GCSE woodwork class. Still here, okay? It's an American Standard 2011
Well, you don't need
Strat.
to read the rest of that. You read the fun part.
Oh, okay.
The rest is just describing the actual guitar. But this guy deserves some sort of award in creative writing for this freaking ad on Facebook.
This is one of the great American Standard colors too, I think, is the Candy Cola. I really like that color.
It is pretty. It is a pretty color, but I think that's just a funny bit of creative writing. There's really nothing else to say. He's selling an American Strat at what I assume is a normal price, 850 pounds.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds heavy.
And at the end, he says, I actually quite like John Mayer.
Don't worry, guys. I like him.
Yeah.
You have to like something to be able to make fun of it effectively.
Do you think he owns a Silver Sky?
He probably bought a Silver Sky, and that's why he's selling this.
What is AOR?
This ad is him making fun of himself for buying a Silver Sky and selling.
Album-oriented rock.
Oh, what?
That's the joke.
What?
Album-oriented rock is the 1970s format.
Oh my gosh. Oh man. Imagine caring.
I care a lot. I want to know.
We care a lot.
I'm looking for an example. The most popular artists, such as Fleetwood Mac and the Eagles. Apparently.
What a weird way to compartmentalize your music. Oh, I listen to album-oriented rock. You're just saying you don't listen to singles? Is that what you're saying? Like, I can think of album-oriented music from any era of recorded music. What a weird
It really,
way
as
to
I
think
go
about
down,
music.
I think album-oriented rock just means it wasn't pop rock. It was like,
Oh my god!
it was hard rock.
It's just such. This is going to feed into the next topic because that's such a snobby way of looking at music.
We got anything else to say about this? Or
No,
was it
we
just
don't. Let's do a
entertainment?
sponsor. 45 minutes in, we're going to do a sponsor. This episode is brought to you by Big Ear Pedals. I've got the Low Fear because that's what I grabbed last episode.
Oh, yeah.
But you should also check out the Elf. We already mentioned it. It's a fantastic, like, always on reverb. You need a splash of reverb with a little bit of kind of like a slapbacky, springy sort of quality that's also like lightly modulated. It's just really well dialed in for someone that wants a modern reverb that looks back into the past slightly and then looks to its side to the 80s with a little bit of light modulation, and then it looks forward into the future, and we don't know what's coming. I don't know where I'm going with this,
I don't know where you're going either.
The L by Big Ear Pedals. Go check it out.
BigEarPedals.com. Tell Grant and Karen we said hi.
Don't tell them what I just said earlier because it was a big ramble and it doesn't make any sense.
You got anything new, man?
Oh my gosh, are we even going to try to do
All right,
anything
I'm
new?
just going to do this. Apparently, Sean Wright from Lollygagger Effects died. So,
RSVP.
yeah, RIP in peace. Sean.
I don't know if he died or if he went out of business.
Both?
But apparently Ed Chu...
I heard about it on the Gear Slum.
Yeah, Ed Chu is in mourning, and his way of mourning is coming out with a new pedal for wrought iron and leather effects.
Yeah, it's called the Sting JFET Overdrive. It's got a picture of a sword on it, which is probably the weapon Ed Chu used to kill Sean Wright.
You think he put a picture of the murder weapon on his new pedal?
That's what I would do.
We have no idea what's going on. But we were listening to the Gear Sun podcast, and they said that Sean Wright was dead and that he was out of business and that there was a new pedal by Ed Chu. We assumed it's all connected. Sean Wright, are you okay? I don't think you're out of business.
Johnny, are you okay?
I think you're still
Are you
alive.
okay? Are you
no
okay,
one
Sean
has
Wright?
any idea what's going on in this bit right now, and neither do we. But we're having fun, and that's what matters. All right, you want to do another topic?
Well, you took this picture of a Fender 1975 Stratocaster vintage
okay, you want to do
bridge
that?
and neck plate for $350. Is it worth it?
I hope not. I hope not. Like, I get it when... First of all...
I mean, these guitars are going for like 3K, so 4K, you think this one part is worth 10% of that?
Let's think about this for a second, Steve. Where the heck did this neck plate come from? Like, the 3-screw Fender neck plates, they're not exactly being swapped out with aftermarket parts. So why is there a spare?
This could be one where they replaced it with a 4-bolt.
What would that look like? You'd have to
drill more
completely
holes.
change the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I get that 70s Fenders are worth a lot more now. But we have seen over the years, like, oh, here's an original switch tip from a impossible year of the 50s Telecaster, and I want $1,000 on it so that you can complete your broadcaster that didn't even have a switch. So what is this? It's a prototype switch tip before there was a switch. Like things like that. It just feels really weird that someone's trying to fetch this much money, not just for the neck plate, which just still baffles to me that it exists outside of the guitar. Like, you wouldn't replace that. But then the bridge is part of the ad. I didn't even realize that this style of saddle was what was being used on 70s Strats.
I didn't either, actually.
I always assumed this style saddle was the cheapy saddles on the Rogues and the crappy knockoff.
It's like the weird square
Washburns and stuff like that.
It's the weird square bridge.
I have never once looked at that style of bridge and thought, oh, that was domestic Fender in the 70s. And it's shocking me to be having that realization now. Like, I'm done. I'm ready to quit guitar stuff. Like, is that where this is going?
All right, well, before you quit guitar stuff, Ryan, I think we need to talk about our other sponsor, Chase Bliss Audio.
That's right, Steve. Chase Bliss Audio, they make cool pedals that make you sound like... So if you want to sound like that, Chase Bliss Audio is the pedal company to go for.
Head on over to chaseblissaudio.com.
They make pedals more creative than you are.
Like the Tonal Recall.
Better looking, and they sound like... Dude,
you already made that joke.
But it's fun. Try it.
No, I'm all right.
This episode is off the rails, but I'm having a lot of fun. It's probably the best episode we've done in years.
All right, Nick McVicker asks, online snobs and trollers, they can be the worst in the guitar community. I guess it's just a statement.
Yeah.
I agree.
I agree, too.
All right, let's move on.
Well, I was thinking about this in terms of being someone who's been a guitarist on the internet since the late 90s. Which makes me sound very old because I'm getting there. I'm going to be 40 this year. But thinking about how much has changed, but how much has stayed the same. Like, I think the trolling has stayed about the same.
Yeah.
Like, there's always someone who's just over it and ready to burn the world down because they just think everything that's going on is ridiculous.
Don't be a dick.
I don't think they can even read that from there. There's a barefoot button that says don't be a dick. But I think what has changed is the snobbery has shifted. Like, I think the snobbery now is kind of quiet and pulled back and more about showing than telling. the snobbery now is check out my new Duesenberg, new guitar day. No sweat. Where the snobbery when I started on the internet was like bolt-on guitars are not even an option for me.
Right.
Like I refuse to even consider.
You think the
bolt-on guitars.
You think the snobbery now is more about status?
I think not really status, because I don't think people are saying I'm rich. It's more like a gambling brag, where it's like, yeah, I dropped 10K on that game. I lost.
There is something interesting to that.
Because I don't think anyone's showing off status. I think they're showing off willingness to invest. And this plays back to like the church thing.
Yeah. Well,
they're displaying like my willingness to be part of this, to do this, is greater than yours. And I think that is the flex. That is the snobbery. Like, that's the thing that you got? Yeah, I got the thing that's at least 3 times more expensive than that, because that's how committed I am to that slight return on investment.
I think for certain brands, that's true. Duesenberg, I would definitely say, is one of them.
I don't even know what the social status of Duesenberg is now, but for a couple of years, it was like the one people were flexing by buying.
Veritas, I think, is definitely one of those.
Sure.
I think you are seeing. I think it's funny, and I'm not saying everyone who gets one of those is like, oh, they're just clout chaser, whatever.
Like I said, I think it's a very quiet, subdued snobbery where I don't think we're even aware of it most of the time. It doesn't read that way.
Right, but what I'm saying is like, man, if I had,
I'd rather consider
if I had $4,000, like
elitistism,
right? But if somebody was like, here's $4,000, go buy a guitar, and you have to spend it all. You don't get to keep anything else, and you don't get to buy anything else. The guitars that would be on my list, there's really only 2 brands that immediately come to mind. One, Cower. We've had a long friend relationship with Doug, and an off and on working relationship with Doug, and every guitar I've played of his has been great. And then a newer company that's been around for a while but has been getting more and more out into the public eye is Baronic, and I think I would be between those 2 brands. But then it's like a weirdness because it's not like a known thing. It's like just. I think there are brands that exist like that, and I would say for maybe the last 10 years, one of those brands would be someone like Ronin, where when someone walks in with a Ronin, people who know what's up are like, that guy knows what's up.
Yeah.
And everybody else is like, what is that?
Right.
And so you don't get that immediate, like, needle. And the other side of that is people will post pictures of someone playing a Veritas, and it's almost, and they'll be like, anyone know what this is? Like, I can't tell what the medallion says.
Right.
And they're being totally serious. And the response is like, oh, there's a medallion. It's a Veritas. How long have you been in this group?
I want to say like the flip side of that, which honestly might be the stronger form of snobbery in the community. Because like I said, I think the bragging, the show off thing is more subdued, or it's just it's background noise, because there's a lot of it, and we just think of it as showing the thing that we're proud of. We don't think of it as showing off. But I think the flip side is the person on the internet that is just as snob, maybe even a bigger snob, but they're like, I could build that pedal for $30.
Oh my gosh.
Why would you spend that on like an MJT build offset? You could just buy a J Mascis Squire. Like, why? Like the person who has like the cheaper option for everything and is like, that the person just throwing money away. This is what I would do, and blah blah. And that is like a whole other level of snobbery. Well, but it's in a different way,
it's particularly the first one. The second one is a different level. Of I have the cheaper thing that's just as good, and that one I feel like has existed for a really long time.
Like there's a snobbery that pushes back against the show off.
Yeah,
there's the show off, and then there's the snob that is looking down on their show off because they believe that no matter what, they are better for choosing to use less.
Right.
Because they've figured out that they don't need more.
I think it's
fine to use whatever you want to use. I'm not dogging on using more or using less. Like, use nothing if you want. I don't care.
I think there's a lot to be said for Grant did the joke where he's like, I will send you a box of parts I will send you $20 worth of parts in a box and build something. Because people are always like, oh, that pedal's just $20 in parts or whatever, $30 in parts. And it's interesting, maybe interesting isn't the right word, but how many of those people, when you're like, oh, how convenient, I have $20, I'll even pay for shipping, so like $30, how that just kind of kills the conversation right there, because it's like, well, I could build it for me.
Right.
But,
it's convenient how they completely like ignore all the other costs associated with someone making a living.
If you want it, I would have to charge you for my time. Oh, you mean like the builder's doing? Like the builder who's charging you effectively for their time and the time that they're going to spend shipping and putting together boxes and designing stamps for those boxes or whatever, and selecting knobs and, well, maybe that's a silly one, but just these different things.
No, like spending time being concerned and designing the aesthetic of any product is real work.
I can tell you, the
graphic designer said defensively.
I have in the works still, and I got an update on this recently, so I can say this. I don't remember how long ago it was now, but I ordered a custom pedal from Big Ear. And so it's an upcharge on the side, and basically what it is Karen will do, because Karen's also, I think, has a graphic design background or a fashion design background. So she has arts background.
She has an arts background, yeah,
for sure. And I don't remember specifically what it is. And so she will do custom art on pedals for an upcharge. And so she will do, like, people will send her, like, here's a picture of my dog, and I want a woodcutter with a picture of my dog, like dog painted on it. And she'll do that stuff. So I ordered a custom pedal before the Albee was released and said, I want a custom Albee. Just surprise me.
Podcast.
And because at the time I had all the other pedals in the lineup.
Yeah.
And I was like, just whatever you guys want to do, just do it. And what I can tell you is from I'm at a point where, it's a labor of, speaking, if I hopefully not out of term for a Grant, because he sends me updates every once in a while. And I think
he's like, the art is in its third trimester.
So I think
it's really kicking.
I think it's become a labor of love for him, because he has attempted to powder coat the case like,
oh my gosh,
like half a dozen times, where he would send me an update and be like, so I painted the case today and I didn't like the way it turned out, so I sanded it back to raw. And like like I said, like a bunch of times. So, I know that this is a process, and I know, like, for this custom work, like, I'm definitely getting my way more than my money's worth out of it. But it's just crazy.
The Grant cares about getting you something special.
But it's like, that's the kind of thing, like, and again, you're kind of like, I guess if you're buying something that's really mass produced and whatever, but I can tell you that most of these people, when they're like, oh yeah, I can build this for like $20, whatever, like, what they're going to end up with is, do you still have it, or do I have it? That like mixer pedal that I made.
Oh, it's in a drawer somewhere. It'd be hard to find right now.
I don't want to pick on anyone else in here, but actually, I think I just found it.
He's in the noisy drawer.
So I made this pedal. It's not really a pedal. It's a mixer. It's got a JFET boost inside of it. And the idea is that this is an input. No, this is an input and this is an output.
This was always the problem. I could never figure out what was in and out.
And this is a loop. And I originally put this in a finger enclosure that you had painted and drew a blender on, which I still have that case.
Oh, do you?
And the problem is it's such a small case, and using this style of jack doesn't work in that size case when you don't know what you're doing. Do you have a screwdriver?
I do.
I'm picking on this pedal because I made it, and I don't know how to use your... Oh, there it is. It's a switch.
And inside the pedal, a block of gold that Steve hid in there.
Yeah. That knob makes this
9 years ago.
turn.
Do you need help screwdriving?
Apparently I do.
Here, I'll hold this. You use
There we
both your
go.
hands.
So do you remember how long ago I made this? Because I don't.
It must have been 8 years ago.
I don't even remember what the point of this was.
It was pre-podcast, so it might have been 9 years ago.
No, was it pre-podcast?
It was.
Do you remember what the point of this? Like, why did you want this?
I was experimenting with fuzz for the first times, and I wanted to blend the fuzz signal with my clean signal.
This is what it looks like on the inside. I wrapped that circuit in electrical tape because I didn't want it to touch anything. I made this in 17 November 2013.
There you go.
It's the minimum blender circuit. This is like the absolute. This is $20 in parts. This is what you get for $20 in parts. You get some guy who used way too much wire in his kitchen table and wraps a Vero board. I actually wanted to show the board because this is just like
I feel like it took us a long time to get here.
I know. It's through hole populated board in his kitchen table and use way too much wire. That's what you get for $20.
Yeah.
Maybe you as an
I think
individual,
most people, I think we could agree that like the vast majority of fuzz and drive and distortion circuits out there, the circuit.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It could be worth under $20, but once you factor in the case and the jacks and switches get pricey quick when you consider that thing right there has,
this is
four jacks on it.
This is probably a $5, like just the case I think is $4 or $5.
But each one of those jacks could be $1. You know, like that stuff adds up really quick.
I used to really.
If you buy an individual jack off of Amazon, they're probably going to charge you $350.
I think I used the cheapest pot I could find. Also, maybe is this a Lone Wolf audio pedal?
Is it off center?
Yeah.
I don't even want you saying that guy's name.
Bleep it out. Bleep it out.
The way I said that makes it sound like I'm going to discipline Steve.
I know.
I'm going to bend you over my knee.
So I mean, I'm not saying people can't build better stuff than that.
Absolutely
I'm not the most fastidious person when it comes to build, but
I think we can agree that it's ridiculous to assume, and snobby, that's the circle back. It's snobby to assume that any pedal isn't worth to the person or the people that built it what they're trying to get for it. It's probably actually undervalued in their opinion.
And
because they actually have to sell a whole bunch of them for it to actually be enough value to make it worth it. Like that single pedal by itself, everything that went into design it and produce it, I'm sure like every person that had a part in making it feels it's undervalued.
Yeah, there's definitely a weird economies of scale thing with it all, where basically if you're building anything, when you first start making them and you're making them by yourself and you only have to make like 10 at a time or whatever, you can make a really good return and profit, right? But once you get to a point where it becomes very time consuming and now you have to make like 50 at a time instead of 10 at a time, like you actually start losing money.
Right.
Because it becomes so time consuming. And so you kind of like have to either raise your prices or you have to figure out a way to like really streamline your processes. And you know, that's a thing where, again, when you say, well, I can build one of those for like $20 in parts, it's like, okay, but this company is building like hundreds of them. And also, if it ever breaks, a lot of these companies will be like, well, just send it back and we'll either send you a new one or we will fix it or whatever. So I don't know. That's all I got, man.
Snobs, elitists, whoever you're looking at, they're just having fun too. And I'm glad that they're out there.
I hope they're having fun.
I do. I hope.
I think there are legitimately some people who think that they're trolling, and when it doesn't work, they're legitimately frustrated by it. And I think it like backfires on them more often than it plays out.
The fandom and the snobbery and the elitism and all the personalities going on in the guitar communities online is also the hobby. It's what makes it the vibrant living thing that it is.
Yeah, but...
And I would be so sad if it disappeared. If snobbery and trolls and all that, everything that you think is negative on guitar internet disappeared, I would be so bored I'd probably quit.
Leave rude and nasty comments for Ryan.
Why do you think I asked for him?
You ready to do some housekeeping?
Yeah, let's wrap this up.
Let's
not even do the last ad. Let's just wrap it up.
If you want to help support the show, head on over to patreon.com/60cyclehumcast, 60 cycle humcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you can throw a little cash our way. We really appreciate it. This song, I don't think I picked a song. This song was sent to us by, I didn't pick a song. Let's do this one back here.
Sometimes
I'll go backwards a little
people
bit.
accuse me of being drunk on camera. What do you think I'm drinking out of this? This is always water. Like, I wonder if people think that I'm getting drunk out of this. It's always water.
Philip Laclede says, hi again, heard you needed some more songs, so here I am supplying more dad jams. I've started to have some fun sampling out the riffs I noodle out. It's like you don't even need to practice at all. Here's a song about summertime and grilling.
I like it already. Food is a hobby, Steve.
Video is not available.
Oh, great.
It's okay, I've got a wave. A WAV.
I've got a wave too.
Is it a WAV?
You want to see my MP3?
What?
That sounded like a threatening euphemism. That's that like Law and Order bend right there. Wind sound over it.
A wind sound or a jet flanger?
That's great.
Well, that's fun.
You think that guy likes compressors?
Well, he made, the comment on it was that it's like all samples. Like he played, well, I don't know if it's all samples, but it's like he played some parts and then he resampled it all. That's what I'm assuming. He resampled it all to make the rest of the song.
I really liked those hard paused beats where they lasted just a bit longer than you expected them to, and you're like, oh, is it going to come back? And then it comes back. Like, that was fun.
Yeah.
I really liked that.
That was cool.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Stay grounded.